It's been 4 months since I moved into my first New York City apartment, and I've learned a lot about money, independence, and the reality of city living. In today's video, I want to share what it's really been like. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Whether you're planning your own move or just curious what life here is like, let's get into it. Starting with the true cost. New York City, especially Manhattan, is an incredibly expensive place to live. The average rent for a studio right now is around $3,272 and over $4,017 for a one-bedroom as of November 2025. That's why it's important to budget. If you're not careful, living in the city can quickly drain your bank account. I pay $2,350 per month for my studio, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually below average for Manhattan. Of course, rent isn't the only living expense. Here's what it really costs me to live here each month. Let's start with utilities. For Wi-Fi, I pay $50 per month with Verizon. It's pricier than Spectrum, but I chose it for reliability since I have to work from home sometimes. For gas and electric, I pay around $80 in the summer or $40 in the fall/winter. The difference is mostly because of air conditioning. Heat and hot water are included in my rent. For groceries, I spend around $30 to $40 per week. That might sound low, but as a single person, I really don't need that much food. I cook most nights and bring leftovers for lunch, and I try to finish everything I buy so nothing goes to waste. As for the subway, the fare caps at $34 per week or 12 rides, so the most you'll ever pay is around $136 per month. Since I only go to the office 4 days a week, I usually end up spending a little less than that. And lastly, for laundry, my laundromat charges $5.75 per wash and 45 cents for 8 minutes of drying. I usually do 1 load a week, plus sheets every other week, which ends up being about $40 to $50 per month. Altogether, my total living expenses come to around $2,800 per month. That might sound high, but I'm lucky that my salary can comfortably cover it, while still allowing me to save, invest, and enjoy fun activities, just in moderation. One big cost I don't have is a car. Not needing to pay for gas, insurance, or parking makes a big difference. I know everyone's budget and lifestyle are different. I just wanted to share my personal numbers for transparency. And if you'd like to see a breakdown of how I save money while living in New York City, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Another thing I've learned is the importance of small living. My studio is about 300 square feet, which might sound small, but honestly it doesn't bother me. I used to live in even smaller dorm rooms back in college, which only had enough room for a twin bed and a desk, plus communal bathrooms. So having a whole studio to myself feels like a luxury. I really don't see the need for a one bedroom. After living in the studio, I really don't know what I'd put in it. I have everything I need right here. A bed to sleep on, a desk to work, a kitchen, and a bathroom. Being able to fit a couch and a TV is just a nice bonus. Even in a small space, I found that I still have plenty of room. It just takes a little creativity. One of my favorite solutions is this drop leaf kitchen cart. It gives me extra counter space and can even expand into a full table if I have friends over. It even has drawers where I keep my utensils and napkins. And the 2 stools tucked underneath provide extra seating. This video isn't sponsored or anything. I just think this piece is very practical for my space. Also, living small has made me a lot more intentional with what I bring into my apartment. I buy less furniture, less decorations, and just less stuff in general. It saves money and keeps my space peaceful. And honestly, it feels good to live in a space that's simple, minimalistic, and clutter-free. Of course, no apartment is perfect, and living in an old New York building definitely comes with its own set of apartment realities. First, New York City is loud. Constant car horns, ambulances, construction, people shouting. I've gotten used to it now, but coming from the suburbs, it was definitely an adjustment. Thankfully, closing the windows blocks most of it, though I still like to open them for fresh air. I've also had problems with my radiator. My radiator turned on for the first time in mid-October, and I woke up one night to a super loud hissing noise right by my bed. Every time the heat kicked in, my radiator would hiss for 30 minutes to an hour straight and wake me up. It took 2 weeks of reminding my super before he finally fixed it. In old New York apartments, the heat is steam-based. You can't control the temperature yourself, and the system blasts heat unevenly throughout the whole building. By law, landlords have to maintain a minimum temperature in the winter, so sometimes it gets too hot. The only way to cool down is to open the windows, even if it's freezing outside. Honestly, this feels like a waste of energy, but interestingly, buildings were designed this way back in the 1900s to encourage people to open the windows for fresh air during flu season. Another thing to be aware of is that old buildings also mean thin walls and creaky floors. I learned that the hard way when my downstairs neighbor left me a note saying that my walking was too loud and that I needed rugs. At first I was surprised because I barely spend time at home during the day, and I didn't think I was being loud, but I still responded politely and said that I would try to be more considerate. I also sent a photo of the note to my landlord just to document the situation in case it escalated. A few days later, my neighbor started banging on the ceiling whenever I walked and even confronted me at my door. At that point, I was honestly anxious about moving around my own apartment. I was tiptoeing everywhere, and I even bought an extra rug to help with the noise. Unfortunately, things escalated again. He banged on the ceiling a few more times and confronted me in the hallway, accusing me of having no rugs and demanding to see the inside of my apartment. He also said some rude things that made me really uncomfortable. I immediately left the situation and called building management. My landlord got back to me saying he'd spoken with my neighbor, and the guy agreed to move out by the end of the month. In the end, I learned that conflicts like these can happen in any apartment building, especially older ones. It's best to stay calm, document everything, and let management handle it. It protects you and keeps the situation from getting out of hand. Another big thing I've learned about living here is getting used to the subway. When it comes to getting around the city, being close to a subway station is often more important than the actual distance to your destination. If you have to walk more than 15 minutes to the nearest station, that's an extra 15 minutes you have to add to every single commute, both ways. Most subway lines in Manhattan run uptown and downtown as opposed to crosstown, which can make short trips surprisingly complicated. For example, depending on the lines near you, to get from the Lower East Side to Soho, two neighborhoods that look close on a map, you actually have to go downtown, transfer, and then go back up. The same goes for getting from the Upper East Side to the Upper West Side. You need to go below Central Park and then go back up. There are crosstown buses that you can take, but personally I don't love them. They often take longer because of traffic and have longer wait times. Transfers are what really make commutes unpredictable. Every transfer means waiting for another train, and sometimes you'll spend longer waiting on the platform than actually riding the train. When you're apartment hunting, make sure to check how well connected your nearby stations are to the rest of the city. I also recommend living close to more than one line, just in case one goes out of service, which happens more often than you would expect. Despite all the noise, crowds, and high rent, living here has taught me something really valuable: independence. Living alone kind of feels like you're playing a game where you have to keep your character alive, except this time the character is me. There's something really freeing about managing everything on your own, from cooking and cleaning to budgeting and maintaining your space. Every little task adds up to this quiet confidence that you can take care of yourself. It feels good to know that I'm self-sufficient, that I can completely provide for myself, and I don't have to rely on anyone else. Some people say it's not worth it, that New York City is too expensive or too overrated, but for me, being here makes me happy, and that's what matters the most. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, these are just my experiences, and everyone has different lifestyle preferences. Leave a comment below. What surprised you when you moved into your first apartment? What do you think about living in New York City? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more Gracefully Smart content.